Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Hello my friends, welcome to another video, and today we are doing the Mid-Year Freakout Tag, but I'm also going to use this as a chance to share all of the 6-star reads that I have. So that's why if you came to this, I'm probably going to title it something about all my 6-star reads, because let's be honest, if you put tag video in the title, people aren't as interested in it. I don't know why. Tags are fun and they lead to lots of discussions, but I am not everyone. I don't know if it's because YouTube suppresses it or whatever, but I only have 4 6-star reads so far. So because the first question of the tag is what are your best books of 2025 so far, I'm going to just start us out with my top reads of the year, which are those. And then we'll go through these questions, which are fun. We're going to hit all the things people will ask, like best, worst, favorite authors, crushes, all these things. So we're going to work our way through it. But if you have a second, please just go down, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you are on your TV, you can just use your remote and click up and you'll see the little thumbs up sign right over by my profile. Please do that. I know a lot of you watch on TV just like I do, and all of your love helps out. So please, please do that for me. But after that, I'm fixing my hair. And let's get into it. Okay, so like I said, I only have 4 6-star reads so far, which, you know, that's about how many I had this time a year last year too. When I look back, I didn't have a ton, but I've just gotten a bit pickier about what gets up to a 6-star for me. But I also know that there's a lot of great potential for it this year. I'm excited. So I'm really looking forward to that. But let's go through these at the front here. My 6-star reads. Let's see, are they in any order? I don't know. Let me grab them. I have all the books I'm going to talk about in this thing sitting right here. So, okay. So first off, we have By the Letter. This is no surprise to a lot of people. I've talked about it all the time. This was book 2 in the Mile High Billionaire series. And this book is a accidental pregnancy that happens at a sex club between these two who've been communicating online through a kink website, and they meet up and they have a masked fuck with each other where the heroine completely submits. The hero gets a free use with her. They have this amazing connection. They just call each other by nicknames and they go their separate ways. The hero does leave his information at the desk in case something happens because the condom does break when they are fucking each other. Sidestep, we have Shira, who is a business owner. She owns her deceased husband's business. She is a very wealthy woman, but the business is struggling. And we have Roman, who his company has now invested and wants to try to save this company. And he actually knew the heroine's husband. And he wants to make sure that this very young what does he think? Like cold fish of a widow isn't going to ruin this guy's business. So Roman comes in with a chip on his shoulder, and he comes in knocking things over and making Shira very uncomfortable. She's very shy. She's very quiet. She's not good at standing up for herself. And Roman just kind of walks all over her. So we don't really like him too much in the beginning, right? But just as he is going through a plan with the dead guy's daughter to push Shira out of the company, she discovers that she's pregnant. She reaches out to the club and has them reach out to him. He hadn't gotten it yet. She reaches out to say that she's pregnant. She finds out that she's been kicked out of her husband's company. But it's actually a bit of a relief, like I said, because she really didn't want to be there, but it is still very embarrassing. He's very cruel to her. And just as all of that has happened, he receives the email from the club, which is actually owned by his brother, which is kind of cool, and finds out that the woman, Goldie, as her nickname, is pregnant. And he very quickly discovers that it's Shira. And so he goes to her home to meet her and discovers that this woman that he's had all these assumptions about and just kicked out of her company is now his baby mama. And by the way, she wants to keep the baby because she didn't have kids with her husband. She's in her 30s or like late 20s. I can't remember where she is. And she wants this baby and he wants to help with it. So now we're in a sticky situation. But what I love is this has one of the best redemptions of a character that I've read, because part of it too is that we know that Roman is just making a lot of assumptions. And Shira seems very cold, seems very reserved, seems to be ruining the business. He makes a lot of assumptions that he quickly needs to turn on his head. And watching him try to make it up to Shira, try to prove that he'll be there, try to just pour so much attention and eventually love on her, I loved. I also loved her support system. We get great cameos in this one from Elliot and Catherine, because our heroine actually ends up working for Building Dignity, which is my favorite name of a company ever. But if you've read P.S. I Love You, you'll be all aware of all of that, which is great. And I just adored this couple and their journey to having a baby. I also love Roman's brothers, which he has 3 brothers, by the way, which Julia Wolf has confirmed that after Mile High series, the Wells brothers, I don't know what the series will be called, but the Wells brothers will get the next series. Because I tell you, Ben, who is actually Roman's twin, I am so hooked on him. I can't wait. He's the besides like Catherine and Elliot, he's like the best side character, because when he finds out his brother knocked a girl up, he is like, yes, I'm going to be the best uncle ever. And he is on board right away. He becomes besties with Shira. He's so excited to be a uncle, and it is beautiful. Like, I just love it. I love it. So this was a 6-star read for me. This will probably get brought up again in the video, so I'll leave it here. Then we do have another Julia Wolf. I promise I don't give every Julia Wolf 6 stars, okay? Just a lot of them, okay? I didn't give the first book in this series 6 stars. But I did give Hold the Line 6 stars, okay? I'm excited. I have to reread this month to annotate it, and I love my babies. So this one is Phoebe, and is this one Deacon or Declan? Now I can't remember. It's Deacon. Okay. I've read a lot of Deacons, Deck, and Declans, and so they all just squished together in my head. So for here we have Deacon, who about a year ago had gotten out of prison, and he's trying to get his life back on track, and he wants to move back to his hometown. And he ends up being like, I think upstairs or nearby neighbors to Phoebe, who she's one of the daughters of Kelly, of the Kellys, of Elena and Lachlan. And her sister used to be the one who lived right next door, but now she's moved in with her boyfriend, fiance, whatever he is in here. And she actually owns a bakery in town, which is beautiful. And she starts trying to give sweet treats to Deacon, and he keeps turning them down, and he's a bit like standoffish about how he does it. But both of them, they actually knew each other from high school. He, I think, was just a couple years older, but she knew who he was. He's from the wrong side of the tracks, but Phoebe doesn't care. Like, she just wants to be there. And eventually, I'll just tell you this, he admits that he is allergic to peanuts, and he doesn't accept homemade goods from anyone when he doesn't know where they were made, and he's very allergic. And he actually almost died in prison from it a couple times because they're not being careful of those allergies, which, I mean, talk about a horror. That's awful. But she informs him that her nephew is actually allergic to peanuts, so her entire building is absolutely peanut free. There are no types of nuts. And so now he can accept her baked goods, which he does with joy. And I will tell you, the difference between how badly Shira bakes things, which if you've read it, you know her baking has some very interesting things in here. Phoebe is the opposite of that and is an absolute queen at baking things. This is also a plus size character. It is barely referenced, like, at all. She doesn't hold any insecurities for it. She has an insecurity from a previous partner that I think kind of could be weight related, but she doesn't hold that. She holds just wanting to be the priority in someone's life because of how that went, not about how she looks or anything. She's just absolutely loved for who she is, and I just love that. And Deacon, the reason this one is called Hold the Line is that he still has some dark cloud following him around. He did not commit the thing he went to prison for, but the person who did commit it is still kind of hovering over him and trying to cause problems for him. And he doesn't want any of that to affect Phoebe. So it does lead to him making a few rash decisions. And that leads to a point where a friend of Declan's says, or Deacon, sorry, I did it. Deacon says to Phoebe, don't rush to judgment. Give him time. He's not trying to break your trust. He's just trying to not dump things on you. So hold the line, steadfast, stay patient, give him the chance to tell you. And I love that kind of thing because there is a breakup in this. It is not a third act breakup. It's one of those second act breakups, which I've actually talked about before on this channel. I wonder if, I don't know if there's enough of that for me to make a video someday, but someday I'll make one because I do actually like second act breakups because it means we have a whole lot of time to fix it, right? Whereas third act breakups, they're the like penultimate thing and then it feels like we rush through the makeup of it. But anyway, loved this book so much. 6 star. Then we have Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. Sorry, I don't want this video to be too long. This is supposed to be a quicker one, but this was her most recent release. I absolutely loved it. I gushed about this in multiple videos already. But in this one, we have Hendrix and Maverick. Let me show you their picture because I love them. They're both in their 40s. He is a almost billionaire businessman, and she is a, what does it say she is? Sorry, I always need to check because she's not just like a PR, but I think she's like a manager for celebrities. She's kind of getting into that line of work. And they end up meeting at a party, which Maverick is actually dating someone she works with. But what she doesn't know, but what Maverick does know, is that that night he's already broken up with the woman. They just haven't announced it publicly. And so he catches an eye of Hendrix and he is intrigued. He is intrigued and he wants her. He wants her, you guys. But she is like, I don't want to mess up my business venture, but he just can't stay away. And eventually they start interacting more. They also have a similarity as his grandfather died of Alzheimer's and her mother has Alzheimer's. And there's really just this very human moment, like at a party where she shares about why she recently had to travel home. It's because she was setting her aunt up to take care of her mother and checking in on her mom. And Maverick is able to offer some support because his mother was the caretaker for his grandpa. And it actually led, like, his mother died not soon after her father. So Maverick and his dad are, you know, kind of left to deal with that. So that was just really beautiful. And these two falling in love was just so great. This was very much about their romance and these two very career driven, you know, I mean, I'll say it, like, they're business and career driven people. And, you know, Hendrix doesn't want to be the one to compromise that. And I like how that was navigated in here because, again, I don't think there's anything wrong with a powerful woman who's built her way to this to not want it compromised by someone that she is starting to care for. But not only that, but also like wanting it to be in her own hands and control her own destiny. And there are multiple ways that Maverick could possibly mess with that, both good and bad. So I very much enjoyed this, and Kennedy Ryan is a star. I love it. You can read that as a standalone if you want to, particularly because book one I actually gave a 6 star to, but book 2 I didn't really care for, and book 3 was a 6 star as well. And then the last one that I gave 6 stars to, and this one is honestly was, well, we'll get back to it about it. I won't say what other category it fits in because this one fits in a category for another question, but we have The Girlfriend Zone by Lauren Blakely, and I love the covers on these. I need to get the rest of them, but I've only bought this one so far. I have some of the others in my wish list if you'd like to send one my way if you're interested. But this one of my viewers sent me. This one was from Von Silk, I think is how you say it. Me and the Books is what their Goodreads was named. Sent me this because it was one of my 6-star reads. So this one was actually, I think, book 4 in the Love and Hockey. Let me see if it shows. Yeah, this was book 4 in Love and Hockey. Now, I've really enjoyed this series. They've all been really solid. But this one just really stood out to me. So in this one, we have Miles, and I wrote it down, but now I can't remember the heroine's name. We have Miles and Leighton. There we go. And they end up meeting each other in a very interesting way. She's actually going deaf. She's not completely deaf, but partially deaf. So she has hearing aids. She's a photographer. She's done some sports photography, but she also does photo. She also does like personal photography and things like that. And she's supposed to do this photo shoot for this woman, like a boudoir photo shoot. And she also has done photos for Miles' grandma. She owns this like cafe, and she has these sexy photos put up that she had done, which are really cool. And anyway, they end up running into each other in his grandmother's cafe, and the grandma kind of sets them up. And the first way they get set up is that he gets voluntold by his grandma to be the male model for the female that she's going to photograph. And so they do that. Well, when the woman has to cancel, they still go through with kind of this photo shoot, and she steps in. And so she has the camera taking pictures of the two of them in boudoir photo shoot, which is super hot. And they end up parlaying this into another date, and they do end up having sex, but they also just do all these magical things together. And then at the end of this date, he invites her back to his place, and he's going to cook for her. He loves to cook for the people that he cares about. And when she gets there, she looks around his apartment, and who should she see but her own father, who is a hockey coach, happens to be Miles' coach on the walls. And she's like, shit, you're one of my dad's players. They didn't talk about her parents or his work on this date. And he had been kind of keeping it back just because when people find out he's a hockey player, they have certain reactions to it. And it turns out her father, his coach, is the one who gave him a second chance at being a player. And he loves her dad. But he's never met the kids, and he didn't know their names because the dad calls them by like his mini-me, like 1 and 2 or something, I can't remember. So he had no clue. And now this amazing chemistry they have. Like, you guys, it's so good. They have to let it go because they don't want to risk things for each other or for her dad and his coach. Like, he doesn't want to mess with it. So they go back. Well, then she ends up becoming the team photographer. And so they're really trying to keep it professional. And what's cool about this book is that if you've read the other books in the series, this takes place through a few of them because we hear about her. We see him being kind of like not wanting to date anyone else and being really into her and everything throughout her being their photographer and everything. So we see a few other events get overlapped. So for about a year, they are like friends / like work colleagues, and they end up being like closer friends too. They do different fun things together, like all this stuff. They have such a great relationship together. And so when they finally can't help themselves anymore, they just have to date. You know, she is afraid of her dad finding out, and he, you know, is like, we got to tell your dad. I respect him too much. We need to tell him. And so that was something I was afraid would kind of like ruin it for me because she's the one wanting to keep the secret. But there's a few things. Like, he is older than her, I think by almost 10 years. Like, I think he is, because he's near the end kind of his hockey career, but he is older. So he's more like willing to kind of risk that. And for her, she's afraid it'll seem like she really is a Nepo hire because not only will her dad, but her partner work for the hockey team. She's afraid her dad will be disappointed. Like, she has all of these feelings about it. And Miles is trying to respect that. But what happens when the dad finds out and we have to talk about it? We discover what Miles has been doing for the last year that they've been for the last, like, I don't know how long, for the last like 9 months before they ever started even dating. Like, they were just friends and they weren't going to try anything. But here's the thing. When Miles sees her, let me just say this. Okay. When Miles sees her for the first time, the first line of this book is, I didn't expect to meet my future wife today. I had other plans, but as she heads towards me in the coffee shop's doorway, I know who she is. She is my fate. That is the beginning of this book, all right? And again, all that stuff I said still happens. They don't think they'll get to be together. They're just friends, all of that. And then when her dad finds out, I'm telling you this, so y'all skip ahead if you don't want to know because we're going deep in this. he reveals to the dad that he's been doing something. You can still skip. He's been doing something for a year to prove how devoted he is to her. He's been taking sign language classes for a year as a secret because she does use a lot of sign language now, and she probably will need it in the future because she is like very little hearing left. Her own mother hasn't even learned sign language, and Miles learned it, and he tells her dad in sign language how much he loves her. And her dad, who does love Miles, again, he gave him this chance. He loves him, but he's feeling betrayed that, you know, he's trusted this guy with his daughter because there's different things that they've done as friends. And when Miles says how much he cares about her in sign language, the dad is just like, fuck, I don't have a leg to stand on because look at you. That is everything I want for my little girl, is for you to being a man and talking to me like this, and for you to have been doing something that, again, her own mom hasn't done, previous lovers have not done, and he, as her friend, was learning it. And it was a 6-star book, you guys, because there's more. That seems like a big reveal, but there's still a bunch more. I won't say all of it, because again, this is the tag. This isn't a video on itself. We got to get into the tag. But this was a 6-star book. I wept in beautiful tears. This is also like a full, not a full cast audio, but this is a duet narration. So great. The whole series is good. As I've said, you can read it as a standalone if you want to. But all the rest of the books were 4.5 and 5-star for me. And then this was a 6-star read. So the next book in the series actually comes out in a couple days. I need to listen to that audiobook this week. Well, I have time. So that's question number 1 in the mid-year freakout tag. Back to what we're at was the best book you've read so far. Those are my 4 6-star reads. I don't want to pick between them yet. We'll save that for the end of the year when I do my rereads and I pick a favorite. So now we had the best sequel that you read. And yes, I'm going to repeat with some of these. So for me, I mean, all of these are a book in a series, but this one is book 2 in the series. And this one to me improved upon in the details. So I'm going to say that it's this one. Just for brevity's sake, we'll say By the Letter is the one. Number 3 is new releases that I have not read yet. So this one is about the ones that are already out because there's another question about the other one. So new releases that I have not got to yet but want to. Let's see where they're at. Okay, we have Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. I'm supposed to actually annotate this for one of my friends, and she's going to annotate a copy for me. We were going to do that back in like February, and life got in the way. Or whenever this one came out. It came out in March or something like that. So I absolutely do want to get to this one. It just hasn't happened yet, and I'm sad it didn't, but we'll get around to it. There is also The Charlie Method. Haven't read this one yet. I got a little discouraged, though, I'll tell you, because this is an MFM, and I didn't want that. I was excited when I heard this was going to be a menage, or it was going to be a poly relationship, and then I found out that it wasn't a menage, it was an MFM, and so it kind of deflated my balloon a little bit. I just wasn't as excited for this as I was before that, especially because Elle Kennedy has written MMF before, and it isn't, but I mean, I still want to read it, and it is the final book in the in the Campus Diaries, so I will get to this one eventually. Rewind it back. I will be reading this one. I pre-ordered the man cover from her website here. I will be reading this one in July because one of my patrons wants an annotated copy. So I will get to this one, but I haven't yet. And then the other one, which I'm waiting for the audiobook, which is supposed to be coming soon, is The Secrets of Jane. I'll just show it. Is The Secrets of Jane. This one is The Secrets of Jane Forgotten, and book 2 is The Secrets of Jane Reborn. Now, that book is already out. That's why I'm putting it in like it's a new release. But I want the audiobook. I also did order the matching special edition. I got this one in a book box from the Nerd Fam. And I like love the sweatshirt that it came with. And when we got this book, we received the audiobook with it. And the audiobook was duet narration with sound effects and all this stuff in it. And I just loved that. I loved it. And so I really want to read book 2, but I want to wait for that audio. And she had told me at the time it was supposed to be coming in June or July. I should message her and see if it's still coming around that time, because it's here now. Like, it was so far away back when it came out, but it's coming now. So this book is going to show up again in this. So we're going to keep going. So those are the ones I picked as books that are already out that I want to read, but there's a lot. Next up is anticipated ones. So ones that aren't out yet but come this year. Again, there's so many I could do. And I did just do, it actually, I think, just came out last week, was my summer anticipated releases. I make one once a quarter. So I do it usually at the beginning of whatever season it is. So for winter, it's like January, February, March. And then we do, or no, do it the other way. I don't know. Either way, I do them quarterly. But what I did just do recently is make kind of a vague outline for the rest of the year. So I picked a few. There is Entwined, which actually should be out by the time you're watching this video. Okay. This book was pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. I think it's been pushed almost a whole year. This is the 3rd book in the Brutes of Bristlebrook from Rebecca Quinn. And I have had it on my anticipated releases videos for a whole year because she didn't give us a date. So there was no pre-order for it, but it comes out on the 16th and it's ready to go, she said. So that one. Wild Card by Elsie Silver. No surprise there. That one looks amazing. That's an ex-boyfriend's dad that she's going to be doing, and it's purple. So I'm sunk. Give it to me. Rose and Chains by Julie Soto. I do have an arc of this one. It comes out in July, so it's coming soon. I actually have it on my TBR for June because it was a book. Remember, I did that one on my spin. I think it was one that was in my NetGalley or whatever, and I picked that one because I wanted to get to it before the release day. We'll see if I still do. I'm going to try to read that one on my trip. But yeah, Rose and Chains, still looking really forward to that. And then Rise of Smoke and Ink by Pam Godwin, which she currently has listed for August. This is the like spin-off / it's like listed as book 5 in Frozen Fate, but it's going to be a spin-off of Frozen Fate. And this is going to be, I won't say who it is, but this is going to be a certain character's book. I'm still not ready to like spoil that for people, okay? Because one of my favorite things about the Frozen Fate trilogy when someone else reads it is them not knowing who's going to live and who's dead by the end, because it does have a suspense and there's people who die and there's all the things. And so if I say who that book is about, which again, people can just go look it up, but if I say who it's about, it removes a huge piece of it for people reading it. But once that book is out, I won't be able to hide that anymore. But she has that listed for August, and she did say we're going to get it this year. So fingers crossed that she gets it to us. And I don't know whether it's a standalone or whether it'll be a new trilogy of his. Like, I don't know. But I need that character's book. And I have a lot of theories about it. I still have never made a deep dive of that trilogy because I wanted to, and then things got busy. But I should do that. I've read it enough times for sure. Okay, next up, number 5 was The Biggest Disappointment. So the person who makes this tag is nice. I will, if I can find it, have the original person of this tag, but this is one of those tags that literally it's been being done for like 6 years, so I don't remember who started it at this point. It's just been around. I haven't done it every year. I usually do, as I said, the video that's just my 6-star reads, but because I only had 4, we're doing all of it. But anyway, they don't say what's your worst book. They said what's your biggest disappointment. So I went with that. And for me, this was hard because I wasn't like, I don't know, I usually DNF or I get out of the books I don't like, but I'll say The Empress by Kristen Cast was a disappointment to me. I gave this one like 2.5, 3 stars. I was so excited to try this world. This woman get pulled into Arcana, and there's the characters from the tarot, and she has to like pretend to be married to this guy who had saved her, and it just seems so interesting to me. And I was bored. I was really bored. Also, there was no chemistry to me between them, so when they have sex the first time, it just, I didn't understand where it came from, and the world was confused. Like, I don't understand how it works there, what powers it. Like, it didn't make sense. But it's also like a parallel universe. So I just didn't love it. But I'm still intrigued enough to try the next one. And like, I really love these covers, but this was a disappointment to me. I won't lie. And I'm sad about that because Bloom sent me 2 copies of this. I was sent both an ARC and a finished copy of this, and it just didn't jive with Jen, and I'm sad about that. Also, I just talked about this in a recent wrap-up. I would say Change of Heart was a pretty big letdown. I talk extensively about why that was a letdown to me, so we're not going to do it here, but I would say it was a disappointment. Number 6 was, what is the biggest surprise? Oh, I forgot to grab one of them because I put 3 in this, but I'll just put a picture of it. So I picked 3 for my biggest surprise. So as I shared, this was a huge surprise to me. This one wasn't newly released this year, but I read it this year. I read this back in January. As I said, I listened to the audiobook. This was sent to me from Nerd Fam. This is a siren / like monster hunter, because they don't just hunt sirens or whatever. This has like some magic in it, and it's a hate to love, really truly a hate to love, because he kidnaps her and he's supposed to bring her to this council and she's on the run. She has some great powers, he has some great powers. There was hate sex in here, like, again, actual hate sex. Very often do we see that, and I thought the world was super interesting, so that's why I'm very anticipated to read the second half of it. But like I said, I want that audiobook, so I'm waiting. But this was a surprise to me. I gobbled this up. It was so good. Have to do devotion. So I'm putting this one here because I read this at the very beginning of the year. This was my first official book I read while working for Claire Kent / Noelle Adams. And she actually sent me one of the special editions when I did order last night. I ordered that. But then she sent me the special editions as a gift for being her PA. And this truly was a surprise because of the way that this book connected to the Kindle series. Like, I had no idea. I knew there was going to be a series set in the wilds, but when I read this, she didn't tell us what this was. She just said, here's devotion, and she said, please read it and do my content pull. And I was like, okay. And it's a dystopian world, and I dived in, and then you get to the end and you realize it is set in the Kindle universe, and it's set 45 years after Impact, which is about 35 years later than where we end the Kindle series. And it was great. Now, there was some really good hints dropped in it, which was fun when I revisited it to find those things. But I loved this. There's a good photo for you. And this is actually about we have a dystopian sex worker, basically, though they're called servicers or whatever. And the politicians each get a personal servant, basically. And yeah, I just loved it, and I love how it's connected to the Kindle world. And so it was a surprise. And I just had such a good time with it. And I'm so excited for all the books she has coming, and that I get a front row seat to it all. It's just so great. I enjoy myself so much. And then the other one I'll share for a big surprise was High Sticking the Heart by Marie M. This was one that I almost gave 6 stars. And it may still be on a favorites list because, I only have 4 6-star reads. And what I did last year is there was a couple that I reread that were 5 stars just to see if they would become a 6-star read. And this may be one that I do that with. We'll see. But yeah, this was a interracial couple. It was a sports medicine therapist type person who helps a hockey team, and she falls for the hockey coach or the hockey the team owner, manager, I can't remember what he is, his son. And then they have to fake date. I don't know. There was so many cute things. I love the hero. He was a golden retriever, and the heroine was girl power, but not in the fuck all men style. She was I know my space and the space I take up, and just stay out of it. But without it being she was just badass. And she helps train hockey players, and that's awesome. So love it. New favorite author. This is just hard because I think too, I don't get to binge authors as much as I used to. So finding a new favorite is really difficult. But I picked 2 that I'm you know, feral for more books from them. And so for me, that was not the book itself, but Helen S. I really want to read her backlist. I'm so excited for the next book in this series. Like, it's going to be so good. And I think she could truly become a favorite for me. So I'm picking her for one. And then again, I'm going to keep showing this book. I don't care. Charlotte Mallory, she has another release coming very soon that I signed up for as well, that I think is a novella in this world. And I'm telling you guys, if you like fantasy, if you like siren romance, if you like it dark, if you like just a little bit of kink in there, not a lot, like it fits the story. Like, he needs to tie her up when they have sex, because the first time they try to have sex, she knocks him out with her power. So the second time, he's like, if you really want to have sex, I'm tying you up, because you ain't getting the drop on me when I'm mid-orgasm, you know? So she was feisty. Love it. Okay, then there was New Fictional Crush, and I picked two, though it was super hard for me. I picked Meyers, as I said, completely won me over, and just... he's gold from start to finish, okay? There's no downside to Meyers. I adore him. He's perfect in every way. And then there is Reese from Wildside. He was just so great. The way that, like, he gets thrust into being a guardian of this little boy who's not his, who he really doesn't have anything to do with at all. The mother is a bit of a, I don't want to call her crazy. She has her issues. But he wants to look out for this boy so much, even in the face of this boy's aunt and family wanting to step in. He's like, I've been warned that you're not the best, and I need to learn more. I love Reese. He's great. Elsie Silver writes some crush-worthy men for sure. New favorite characters. So with this one, I decided to, because this is tough. Like, they did fictional crush. So for me, that went with, because I'm into men, I picked men for my crush. So for new favorite characters, I wanted to pick my favorite women. So it's like my girl crush is going to be my, like, favorite character ones, okay? So who I picked for that is I actually picked Dahlia from Beautiful Venom. I've talked about, I think she's one of the smartest women that Rena Kent has written. Now, that doesn't mean she's perfect because she's still young, but I've read a lot of Rena Kent, and often the women just, I don't think she writes women the best, okay? I think she writes them a bit stupid, and the men run over them a lot in the majority, okay? It's why I got annoyed with some of her older reads. And in The Legacy of the Gods, there's a couple of the women who stand up to him, but for the most part, again, they let the men kind of just run all over him. Dahlia is definitely in over her head, but she makes smart decisions, and very often she can see through what Kane is like, what's going on, you know? And again, she messes up sometimes, because we wouldn't really have like a third act if she didn't. But in my opinion, she is one of the smarter women that Rena's read, and she just hasn't left my mind. She hasn't left my mind since I read this one, and I really liked her. So I put her as a favorite character. And then I am also putting Phoebe as like a girl crush or a favorite woman this year. The way that she is, she doesn't put up with crap, but she's willing to be patient and listen and hear Deacon out and just hold the line for him and give him the time to work through some of his fears and issues so that he can be a good partner. And she doesn't rush to judgment of him, which is what people have always done to him his whole life. And I love that about her. It's great. Okay, number 10, books that made me cry. So I did pick 3 of these. Now, I cry very easily. I always say this. I cry easily. I cry happy, sad, mad. I just get, all the emotions make me cry. So I picked a few, though. I definitely cried a lot during Can't Get Enough. Just a lot of the stuff with her mother, and also when these two are falling in love and just trying to come to an understanding. I just really, really love them. I also cried a lot out of anger in Hunger in His Blood, which I did end up enjoying. Oh, my nails. This is it. My nails match this one. I'm going to have to take a picture of that. Look at my white, green, and purple. I did those for a vacation. My vacation nails match this book. This one is a, like, it's kind of accidental pregnancy, but also, like, it's a rejected mate. And then I just cried for the heroine so much. Like, I felt so bad for her. And the way the hero is just so closed off in his heart, and the way people conspired against her, like, oh, I just felt for her so bad. And so I cried multiple times out of like anger and pain for this woman. And that's why I ended up at a 5-star. Like, that's the thing. Like, that book was right on the edge where it could have just like absolutely pissed me off and we would have been done for. And then the other one, this is a book that I think deserves so much love because it's just so, I'll be honest, this author's books, which I've already mentioned this author once, I'll mention her, she doesn't always make me cry because her books aren't really the super emotional type. They're very practical, still sexy, but they're very like practical romances. And so they don't really make me like cry. But this one did because it just felt so real in another way. And that's actually Salvation by Noelle Adams, aka Claire Kent. And this was a book of hers I'd never heard of, and then she asked me to do some content for it because she was making special editions of this one. And this one involves a beginning where our heroine is kidnapped. She's the daughter of an important man, and she's kidnapped by the cartel. And when she arrives at where she's being kidnapped, there's a undercover agent who has been caught, and they're both being kept in the same area. And so they're forced into this proximity of one another. And then she's supposed to be left alone to be ransomed back to her dad, but instead some of the men come in and they take her out of the room away from our hero and they assault her. Now, that's not graphically shown, which is, that's not what Noelle Adams is about, like dragging you through that, but you know what happens. And then this book is about her salvation, and not, I don't mean in the biblical way. I mean her salvation of like getting back to the point where like she wants to live again. And the relationship that happens with the hero that like she almost doesn't want to happen because he reminds her of what she's lived through, but he's also the only one who kind of understands. And he also refuses to let her just slink into her unhappiness. And it makes him seem to her almost like a bully at sometimes, but like no one else is doing it, right? So this isn't very long. It isn't some drawn out, like agonizing pain, but this really choked me up while I was going through it because I just hadn't read Noelle or Claire like write a book that brought that up in me. Like her books are very quick, they're snappy, they're easy to get through, they're sexy, and they're usually like a very solid read. And this one it really hit me. So this is one that made me cry. Okay, then there is the books that made me happy. And I just realized I picked the same two that had my crushes in them. I didn't even do that on purpose. The Girlfriend Zone and The Wild Side. I smiled almost all the way through both of these. This one does have a few sadder moments in it because we are dealing with like, the heroine's sister has died. But I love the little boy. I love the friends. I love the side characters. Like, I love all of that in here. And then, yeah, this one, like I said, Miles, you guys, Miles. I smiled all the way through both of those. So I picked those. But I'm often very happy because of what I read. Okay, the most beautiful books that I bought or received. We're almost done with this video. So this is very difficult to choose, y'all, because I will admit I get a lot of pretty books. Okay, I get a lot of gorgeous books. And I'm going to show you 3 of them. And I'll show you the one that's been on display this whole time. So this one, for very sentimental reasons, is just one of the prettiest books this year I got. I love the undercover of it. I love Last Light is such an important book to me. I love some of the art that got put in it, and to have this special edition on my shelf, I just love it. Okay, I just love it. It's very simple, but I've always loved the covers of the Kindle series, so I love having that right back there. Then just recently, so that's kind of why I picked this one, is His Juliet. I love the art on these. I do. I love the book stacks. They're at the library here. I love her big booty and his hands and tattoos in her hair. Ugh, I just love these. I think that the artist who does these, let me peek who it is. I bet it says right in here. Okay, the author designed it, but the art, the bookstore art is Incendio Sketches. there's some art all throughout, so I guess it's not just one, but like I love how this looks. Like her thigh right there, like, oh, that book's beautiful. And then this one I was sent by one of my friends, but this one was from the Darkly box, and it is another edition of Sea of Ruin. Okay, I can never have too many. I can't. And I love this like vellum outside, this like bronze. It's not quite coming up the right color on my camera, but this is like a bronzy gold, and I love the details of the ships. I also love this is great. On the side here, they have the names of the characters. There's Ashley, Priest, and Bennett on it. And then of course we have some art here of the three of them, and we have some art here of them in different embraces, and it's just gorgeous. So I always love another copy of Sea of Ruin. I can never have too many, in my opinion. And if me as an influencer ever does get asked to be a part of a box, I will probably also pick Sea of Ruin. So there's that. Okay, then finally we are at books to read by the end of the year. So this one isn't just the new releases. This one isn't just anticipated releases. It's like in total books I want to get to by the end of the year. Now, they end up all being books that are coming out this year, but I am going to share them anyway. So I have 3 to share for this. So I really want to read the Tribune Temptation. Jenna Bigelow has this series coming out that is Roman historical romances. They are open door. They're not religious based. They are set in like the politics in the world of that time. And there's the Tribune Temptation. There's like the Legionnaire something. And then there's another one coming too. I've only read the novella that kicks it off. And so one of my viewers actually sent me this one. And I really want to read these. So I put this on. I want to read this by the end of the year, and hopefully the other ones too. But I want to get to this because I think that's such a cool concept. I love all historicals. I love the covers too. They're very nice. Again, Out of the Woods. I need to read this so that I can get it sent to my friend for sure. There's also The Boss by L.L. Ash. L.L. Ash completely gets overlooked, okay? She just gets so overlooked. But this is actually the next book in a series she started years ago. She has written more books in her, like, Forbidden series. Like, those have been kind of steadily coming, but I didn't know she was going to write this. This will be a mafia romance. And I bought the ebook, so I want to get to that one. And then it's a travesty I haven't read this yet. I'm ashamed, but at this point I'm hoping the audiobook will be here soon. But they didn't do arcs, so that's part of why. If there had been arcs, I probably would have read this. But The Weaver by Tiffany Roberts. Why haven't I read this? This series is going to be standalone, so it's not like I'll be waiting for you know, the Spider's Mate trilogy was all one, and I had to wait for those. But I haven't read The Weaver yet, and I'm ashamed of myself, okay? I'm ashamed of myself. But I did order it the day it came out, so they got my money that way for sure. But I can't wait to read about this couple. It's gonna be great. So, all right, time to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed this. I don't know if I'll put the questions down below because I have a lot of books to put down below. But this is a tag that you're absolutely welcome to do. Maybe check out one of the other people who did it because they'll have the questions in it. But if you just look up the Mid-Year Freakout tag, you're going to find a whole bunch of these. But I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what your favorite books are so far this year. Any of the questions you want to answer, feel free to answer it down below. But again, I'm on vacation this week that you're watching it. So if I'm slow to answer any questions, that's why. Updates will be coming on my Patreon if you want them. And we'll see you next time. Bye.